for your presentation. We'll begin members' questions, 5-minute rounds for each of them. With Ms. Nash, please.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Finance Committee. Mr. Hodgson, I'd like to start with you and the great work that the Conference Board does in analyzing our economy and in giving us report cards in terms of how we compare with our own record, but also how we compare internationally. There's a couple I'd like to get more information about. In the recent economic performance report card, you noted that Canada's moved up to 6th place, and that's positive, except it reflects as much the weakness of many other countries at this time. But you noted that Canada fares poorly when compared with some top-ranking economies on many economic indicators, with the exception of inflation and employment growth. So my question to you is, what are other countries doing to have better economic outcomes, and what can the federal government learn from those other countries that we could do better here in Canada?
Thank you very much for the question. You've done your homework, obviously. You looked at our website and saw the report card we do across 6 different domains. I assume the 6th place was the economy domain.
Yes.
What are others doing? Well, you know, it's interesting. The Nordic countries in Northern Europe tend to be the star performers on almost all indicators. And from the research we do and from what I've read and from other sources, the key difference maker for the Nordic countries is governance, is the quality of governance across the board. In the private sector, in the public sector, the quality of public services, the ability to actually form consensus around the right policies. So if there's any one factor I think if anybody points to, it's probably around governance. It's not necessarily economic policy. That's the product of a governance process where they're prepared to take hard decisions in some cases about changing the course of the country and ensuring that they have the right kind of anchors in place.
Can you elaborate a bit more about how they arrive at that consensus, and who is the consensus with?
Well, remember, the Nordic countries for the most part are more homogeneous than we are. So Canada really stands out as a quite a different place compared to Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Finland. Mm-hmm. So it's probably easier to form a social consensus in a homogeneous society. Mm-hmm. There have been some, for example, some riots and other events in parts of urban communities where there have been large immigrant populations. So they're not sort of utopian states by any means. But they do have the ability, and it's something they've developed over probably the last 100 years, to build social consensus in a way that most other countries marvel at.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Now, I have 2 minutes left. I also looked at the innovation report card because you know, we've talked about investment here, but you have to have the ideas, you have to have the innovation to move the economy forward. And your report card gave Canada a D, which is quite troubling. It's near the bottom of its peer group on innovation. You say that the D grade underlines a relative weakness in all 3 categories of the innovation process: creation, diffusion, and transformation. What can we do here in Canada to improve our standing on innovation?
Well, there's the $64,000 question. So, first of all, you're right. We've been giving Canada a D in innovation for probably most of the last decade. And in fact, the flip side is what are we doing in productivity growth, where we've opened up a gap of probably about $7,000 per capita lower than the Americans over the last 25 years. So what do we do about it? Well, first of all, we stopped relying on crutches to carry our economy forward. To a great degree, we think Canada didn't innovate because we didn't have to. Until 2003 or 4, we were able to rely upon a soft dollar as a way to have kind of a price advantage in global markets, particularly in the United States. But with China's rise, with the rise of commodity prices, we've lost that crutch. So we're now looking at a fundamental mindset, to change the mindset both in private sector, within government, about innovation. We've created a center at the Conference Board called the Center for Business Innovation, where we're trying to get behind the numbers, not in terms of public policy, but in terms of creating an innovation culture within organizations. And, you know, as you're doing your research, you'll find reports now emerging from the center talking about what does it take to actually create an innovation culture within an organization or within a country. And there's no simple answer. There's clearly no silver bullet. But it starts by actually treating innovation as a priority. And if you start there and then start asking yourself questions about all aspects of public policy, you might start to discover various answers.